Hey and welcome back. Have you ever noticed that negativity is common on the internet? All over social media, we are bombarded by constant criticism from those around us. Even if it's not directed at us, it's hard not to feel a bit self-conscious. Our lives seem to be under a constant surveillance by everyone around us looking to judge our every single move. In today's hyper-connected world, we put a ton of emphasis on failure. We are quick to point it out and even quicker to react negatively if someone else notices our shortcomings. Many people these days don't follow their dreams due to the fear of failure. Failure is difficult for everyone to embrace, no matter how much we tell ourselves that it isn't the end of the world. Fear of failure can be just as dangerous, if not more, than failure itself. Sometimes it keeps us from even starting a difficult task or addressing an urgent issue, which only makes things worse. However, seasoned business owners, entrepreneurs, and even celebrities will almost certainly tell you that they would not be where they are without failure. To be successful, one must fully embrace failure and be ready to accept their mistakes. I believe failure is the greatest opportunity to learn. You can only fall off a bicycle so many times before you get the hang of it. And if you were to give up, you wouldn't make any progress. Same goes for work, life, and everything else that you do. To effectively embrace failure, you must be able to reflect on your actions in order to learn what not to do, then try again. In today's video, we're going to learn some effective strategies for dealing with failure, specifically how to embrace it and use it to your advantage to come out on top. Before we get started, as always, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. It's completely free and helps us out a lot. Defining failure. So what is failure? It can be split up into two broad types. For lack of better terms, let's call them short-term failure and long-term failure. Webster Dictionary defines failure as the non-performance of an assigned or expected action or falling short of one's goals. Failure to complete an assigned task is short-term and something everyone experiences frequently in work and daily life. Long-term failure to meet one's personal goals has a greater emotional impact on us because these goals are often tied to our identity. When we fail to meet these lofty personal goals, we have the tendency to define ourselves by these failures. Don't let failure define you. Failure can be embraced in a negative or positive way. Allowing your failures to define you is a negative way of embracing failure. You shouldn't see failure as a sign of weakness. On the contrary, the ability to look at failure positively is difficult and requires strength and patience. Recognize and remember that everyone fails. Failure is a regular part of life. We learn some of the best life lessons through failure, trial, and error. Without the error, we'd never end up succeeding. Use failure as motivation to improve and not as proof that you're unsuccessful. After experiencing failure, look back and focus on what you did well in the face of it. This helps reinforce the failure as a positive learning experience. At the same time, it is instinctual to want to bury and forget about your mistakes. But this only exacerbates the issue. It's what we learn from mistakes that really matter. Take a step back to evaluate what worked and what didn't, and most importantly, identify any fears that you may have had as you prepare for your next task. Identify the fear. Fear drives us to do both great and terrible things. Some find it to be a great motivator to get things done quickly and efficiently. A lot of the fear that we experience can be boiled down to fear of failure. Fear of failure keeps us from trying new things and taking risks. We have the desire to feel good about ourselves, and failure chips away at our confidence. Fear is often misinterpreted as procrastination, waiting for the perfect time to get started. In reality, you're waiting because you're scared you won't succeed. But you can't succeed without starting. Don't let fear of failure keep that from happening. The best place to start is to start. Fear is best used as a way to direct your focus. Once you identify the specific fear, you must tackle it heads-on immediately. Otherwise, you risk lingering on the fear, which leads to rumination, which leads to analysis paralysis. Don't let your focus become the fear. Let it drive your focus. Learn from the past. Look to the future. Remember how I said you should analyze your past actions to learn from your mistakes? This is important, but it's possible to get stuck in the past and never move on to the future. Think of failures as a beginning instead of an ending. When you fail, don't give up. See it as a stepping stone to your success. Consider what you learned from this failure and learn how you can adjust your process to account for it. Always move forward and never look back at failure as the end. Stay focused on the future and don't spend time dwelling on past mistakes. You can use them to learn and do better next time, but going back and correcting mistakes can be counterintuitive and backwards. Admission and acceptance. The final step in learning to embrace failure go hand in hand. You have to allow yourself to fail and be honest and open about when you do. Sometimes you need to let go and let failure happen in order to let go of your fear. Once you allow yourself to fail and understand how to use it as a motivator, your fear of failure will disappear. One of the hardest things for anyone to do is to admit failure. But by doing so, you already have a huge advantage over them. You've set yourself free of the weight of failure. As we begin to wrap up this video, I'm going to review a few of my own failures in the spirit of a mission, so I can look back at them objectively and learn from my mistakes. Some failures I've encountered that helped me grow. After I graduated, I went to business with a friend. We began a fashion startup that failed miserably. This taught me the importance of putting time and consideration into choosing business partners and team members. They should have the skills suitable to run a business with you. Being your best friend is not enough. With the benefit of hindsight, I can also say that trying one of those MLM or pyramid scheme things wasn't also the best idea. However, it did teach me how to confidently talk in front of strangers and not care about what others might think of me. When I joined an early stage startup, I learned the importance of researching the company and its founder properly to be sure they know what they're doing. The startup only lasted several months before running out of money. Grit strategy. That was a lot of information, maybe too much to remember. Not to worry. There's a simple and effective strategy to keep in mind next time you face failure. It encapsulates everything we've covered here today so you can remember it. Grit stands for guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. Let's break those down quickly. Guts. You have to have guts to embrace failure. It's a hard and scary thing to do. Approach it with courage. Resilience. Rarely does success come without failure first. The most successful people did not let an initial failure slow them down. They got back up and kept trying. Initiative. The most successful people have agency even in the face of failure. Approach even the most difficult tasks with confidence. Tenacity. Stay persistent and remember that life is all about trial and error. I hope that this video has helped you look at failure in a new light and hopefully embrace it positively. If you have any questions or your own tips about handling and embracing failure, please feel free to leave a comment below. Otherwise, if you like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. It's completely free and really helps us out a lot. Feel free to also follow me at Press_Park as I try my best to post daily. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.